It's not the most rewatchable M. Night Shyamalan film, but that doesn't mean it's bad. So in general, I like M. Night Shyamalan's movies. I feel like this mic is rubbing against my shirt. Let me get started off again. Try that again. In general, I like M. Night Shyamalan's films. I think he's very creative as a filmmaker, storyteller, and so I went into this expecting that I would like it okay, but not quite sure where it would rank for me in my list of, Shyamalan films that I like. And this is not my favorite. My favorite film of his is Cyns, but it's also not my least favorite. I think this is a pretty solid film overall. I'll just get that out of the way. But I'll tell you what it is that makes it not necessarily the most rewatchable. I feel like I would be fine not seeing this movie ever again. The main reason I went to see it is because of that actor right there, Gael Garcia Bernal. I think that's his name. He's a Mexican actor, and I've never really seen him in anything where he is playing an English-speaking part. I've only ever seen him in Mexican films. I know he's been in stuff here. I'm aware of it, but I've never really watched him in those roles. So I went to go see it primarily because of him, but also because it's an M. Night Shyamalan film. And the reason this film does not rank up there as one of the more rewatchable films of his is because it's freaking depressing, y'all. And the horror aspect of this is, of course, the premise that they're growing old. And one day they're aging an entire lifetime's worth. That's horrifying because they don't have time to process completely what's happening to them, and they're going through these incredible changes. And the characters that you see it the most in are the children. They age more quickly on the outside because children just do tend to age quickly over a span of, like, let's say 5 years, and kids can change so much. Whereas adults, not necessarily. There's not huge dramatic change unless they've had something terrible health-wise happen to them or something like that. But just in general, adults can consistently look about the same for several years. And so that was what was so horrifying, was the dramatic changes that they were going through, especially the kids. I mean, really dramatic changes. And then, of course, the adults. And basically, it's like all of aging and life, the devastation of old age, it all gets on fast forward, and just so quickly, the stuff that they go through. And so that's horrifying to think about. And it's sad because you see all the stages. You see the people growing older. You see some of them losing their mind. You see some of them losing their health. I predicted, of course, which one would be the first to go, and she is, but that's not a huge spoiler. It's obvious because there's one of them that is old when they go out into that area. So, okay, well, they'll be the first to go. And so that was the case. So where was I going with that? Oh, I was talking about the changes that happens with old age. People start to lose their eyesight. When I say people, it's not necessarily multiple ones. It could just be one person, but I'm just speaking in general terms. You see eyesight diminishing, hearing diminishing, people getting, stooped back with age. And so it's sad because this is what happens to all of us. It's on fast forward because time is so compressed. It's not necessarily that time is compressed. It's just people in this area, they age faster. So that was sad. That was actually really sad. And there were several things that were mentioned in there that were very relevant to the way life is in general. It was a married couple that were having problems, and later on in the film, as they're older and they're talking about why was I even mad with you? I'm not even mad anymore. I just want to stay here forever, that type of thing. And it was really touching. And then another character mentioned something about how that one of the kids mentioned something about how that they never had the opportunity to live their life. Like they never had things like the prom or this or that or whatever. And so their childhood was basically stolen from them. And then also another character mentioned something about, and I've mentioned this before, but something along the lines of how, how they don't feel on the inside like what their body is on the outside, which is also very typical with people as they get older. You reach a certain age and you're like, geez, I'm X number of years, but I don't feel like it. I don't feel my age. I still get very excited about stuff like I would when I was much younger. And I sometimes I wonder if that's a good or a bad thing. Part of me thinks it's a good thing because it keeps me young and energetic, young feeling and energetic. And, I enjoy life. And then part of that also makes me wonder, gee, I feel like I'm really immature for my age. But anyway, whatever. So the themes of this film, they're serious and they're touching, quite sad. The characters in here, this gentleman right there, I've never seen him before, but I had to look him up afterwards, and he's from the UK. Of course, he's from the UK. But they do such a good job with acting and disguising their accent, you would never know. Gael has an amazing, his English is, you can tell just a little tiny accent, but his English is pretty much flawless. He's so fluent. I don't know how long he's been fluent. I only ever knew him before as a Mexican actor, so I didn't even know if he could speak English, because a lot of them don't, but a lot of them do at the same time. And some of them don't learn until later in life. So I don't know what the case was with him, but the acting was really good. There was a character in here. She's not in any of these pictures. I went to the IMDb website to grab some of the pictures, and there were none that showed her, but she. Okay, so this guy running with the blue shirt, I don't remember his name, but he played in that Amazon show that takes place in an alternate reality about World War II and Japan and stuff like that, and in the US. So you know his face, him right there. He plays this doctor who's got some issues, and he has a wife who's Grace Randolph described her as the trophy wife, and that is kind of what she is. And so you start off thinking, and she's just going to be this absolutely obnoxious character, but she really isn't like that. And I mean, in some ways she is in the beginning, but then as you know the characters more, there really isn't any character in here that is completely unlikable. Even the doctor guy, some of the stuff he does is not totally his fault because he's got problems and this stuff is happening and it's just driving people a little cray-cray. And so you can it's horrible, some of the things that happen, but at the same time, you understand what is driving people to do some of the stuff they're doing. So there's really no one in here, as far as within the group of people that's trapped in this area, no one really that's unlikable. They're all sympathetic to a certain extent, and they all do a really, really good job with the acting. Even the trophy wife girl, she becomes quite the sympathetic character, and all of them are very sympathetic, and you just, I liked all of them. And the film, though, revolves mostly around the main family, Gael Garcia Bernal, his wife, and their 2 kids. So that is the focus, but there are all these other side characters that are trapped there. The casting for the kids as they got older, I thought was very, very well done. They look legitimately like they could have been those kids when they were younger as they grew older. Kudos to them for that. Good job. Also, I do have some little notes I took because I don't want to forget anything. So I talked about how depressing it was, the casting, character sympathetic. There was something, oh yeah, I know what else I was going to say. As with all M. Night Shyamalan films, yes, there is a twist at the end. Some people might feel like the twist was ridiculous. To me, all of his twists, unless I'm forgetting something right offhand while I'm talking, to me, all of his twists have made sense. And I haven't really minded them. So I didn't really mind this twist either. I was worried that at the end of the twist reveal that it would be over. And I was like, okay, that's really going to suck if it's over at the end of this part. But it wasn't. There's a little bit more that happens that kind of wraps things up in a way that I personally felt was fairly satisfying, given the depressing subject matter, okay? Also, I found out shortly before I saw it that this was actually based on a graphic novel called Sandcastles. I didn't realize until I saw Grace Randolph's review that the graphic novel came from Sweden. I haven't read it. Like, obviously I haven't because I didn't know what it was based on. I honestly don't know how much of this material in the film came directly from the source material or how much of it was M. Night Shyamalan. So I don't know how much of the source material he adapted or changed or whatever. Maybe none. I don't know. Probably the twisty thing is something that he did because that's kind of what he's known for. But anyway, in general, I thought it was pretty well done, and I wasn't disappointed that I got to see it. But it was really, really, it was a kind of a downer, except for, like I said, the resolution-ish at the end. It was not a fun movie experience, I guess I could say. Like, Black Widow was much more fun. This was good, but it wasn't necessarily enjoyable as far as a fun time. But it's worth the watch. And I feel like if you're an M. Night Shyamalan fan, you'll probably enjoy this. I know the critics have rated it awful, but you know how the critics, well, like it's just below rotten. I don't know if it'll bump up above rotten, but it seems to me like critics have grown to really dislike his material as he continued on. Like, he was a big hit with The Sixth Sense, and then it seems like, unless Unbreakable did pretty good critic-wise, maybe Split did too, I can't remember. But it almost feels like with him, it's kind of hit or miss with the official critics, more a miss than a hit. But I didn't go through and look at all of the ratings for all of his movies before I started this. I'm just kind of drawing from just memory off the top of my head. But I mean, I guess the general audience will like this okay, but I don't know because it's so depressing. Maybe they won't take to it as kindly as others will or have or whatever. But yeah, I guess I would say check it out if you're a fan. Check it out if you like depressing horror type stories, sad life situations compressed and down into one day, a span of a day for these people. I don't know. If you haven't seen it, do you plan to see it? If you have seen it, what do you think about it? Do you feel completely different than how, the way I came away from it feeling? Or maybe you love it even more than me? I think I heard someone in the theater after I'd seen it, and I'm sitting down thinking about the movie, thinking about how I'm going to talk about it, getting the pictures ready. And I heard someone say that they really enjoyed it and that it was something about how they would like to watch it again. It was rewatchable for them. I'm paraphrasing, but it was along those lines. And I was thinking, well, I feel completely the opposite. Well, I enjoyed it, but it's not rewatchable for me, as I've said multiple times. Anyway, I'm glad I saw it. And I hope it does decently this weekend. I don't know that it will do, huge, because this is it's not like one of those big, huge, highly anticipated blockbuster things. But there were a lot of people in the theater. It was almost full, so that was good. Hopefully it'll do well. Okay, I don't have anything else, so I'm gonna wrap this up. It's pretty late already. It's almost tomorrow. It's 2 minutes away from tomorrow, and I would like to edit this and get it up. So I'm gonna pull the plug, you guys. Later.